Mankind. Hey, morning, Missy. First time I go live, yeah? So, what I do is nothing special. I actually out here about to clean my computer and I just bored. I say, let me see if this live thing will go on with that. So, I go run a little live video of me cleaning my PC today. Editing. I'm using my wife's kitchen table. She had work, so she knows. So, nobody has shared that to my wife. Alright, so what I doing? Cleaning my computer today. That's it. Dusty, running a little warm, and some TLC need. So I say, I go just share with everybody what I doing. Yeah. So if you never watch a computer get taken apart, cool little experience for you. I will be explaining what some of the parts doing, how they working, with explanation. So if you have nothing to do, just hang out with me for a little bit. We'll be cleaning my computer. Yeah, I know the live by accident. That wasn't by accident. That was no accident. So, let's dig in. So, just so y'all know, this is my baby. I have like a few things in this world that I like, and that's one of them. Put together with my very own hands. I use it for work, for play, for business, for everything. So we're gonna be taking it apart and some of the components gonna be getting cleaned up, dusted up, fans, that kind of stuff there. Yeah? So let's get started. No days really started without coffee. Shout out to Mike Groth for having me buy this Keurig cup. It's an adult sippy cup, best thing ever. Can't spill no coffee on nah. So, we are going to start by removing the panels. Let me just pull it out from the bottom. So as you can see, I don't know if you can see how dirty it is in the video, but dirty. Yep. So this is a little dust filter. You see that? You see that the print as dust. So I will be vacuuming that later. We'll be putting it out on the floor in the backyard. You can see the inside of the panel how dusty it is. So we'll be vacuuming all that later. Just taking it apart for now. All my little dust filters, top and bottom, have to come out. They're all going to get vacuumed. What's up, Ellen? I know, right, Kim, that is gross. That's what computers do. They suck up everything. They suck up all the dust and everything around them. So that's why you have to clean your computer, just so you know your computer is probably nastier than your bathroom right now. So you might wanna dust that joker out. We'll start by taking off some of the fans. Let me get me a screwdriver that will work. I'll call you everybody wanna know. Wait, you Melanie watching? Babe, I know it look like I'm using the kitchen table. But what happened is I moved the kitchen to another room and I just using the table. So technically I'm not on the kitchen table because I was going to do it outside. But what happened is the way the sun is set up outside, it's better for the computer to be inside. Yeah, Kim, the laptop's just as bad. You see, my computer have a ton of space to get rid of all the dust. Your laptop this thin, and it have fans that have to suck air in. So yeah, the laptop is just as dirty. If you get a can of air and you blow out your laptop, you might drown yourself in dust. I'm just saying. I'm just letting you know, I'm just saying. So, what I'm doing here is I'm removing, it's gonna sound weird. This is a radiator in my computer. It's kind of like the radiator in your car. It does exactly what it sounds like it does. It is actually for cooling the computer using water, like your car uses water to cool itself. Yes, computers have components that get that hot, especially if you have one that's as troublesome as mine. It needs a lot of cooling. So this component here is the radiator. I'll be pulling it out in a second so you can get a better view. And there it goes. So back end tip is back panel off. So let me unplug these fans so you can get a good look at what they look like. I hope everybody having a good day. What y'all at work? What y'all doing? Y'all good? So I have a little bit of OCD with my cables, so it's really difficult to get some of the cables out because I make sure when I put them in there, I cannot see them. I don't like seeing cables running all over my computer, so I go out of my way to make sure that they are well tucked away. So of course, when it's time to remove them, it's a little challenging, but it's worth the trouble. I will probably be more OCD about how my computer looks than how I look sometimes. Probably clean my computer more than I cut my own hair. Look at it. Right on time. Oh, you're gonna my music? The music too loud? I thought I was playing like real soft. Music too loud? I won't know that in a second. I didn't even think about the music. I just started doing what I was doing. I figured the music would be quiet in the background. See how dirty my friends are. That's all dust. See that dirty? So I have to get all that off. We're going to be cleaning that in a second with Q-tips. And I might have overdone it with the fans. I might have overdone it. There's plenty fans in here. So as you can see all that dust on the radiator? So all that have to come off by the end of the day. I will probably be pulling it off and vacuuming it later. So stay tuned for all that trouble I give myself just to have a nice computer. We're going to lower the music because apparently my music is not very conducive to the environment. Alright, that should be better. Should put on some something more conducive. Put on some George Jones. So if you're not a technophobe, this might not be the most fun video to watch. Somebody just taking a computer apart and cleaning it, putting it back together. But let me tell you, rather than playing with my kids later today because it's Friday, this is probably going to be the highlight of my day. If my wife is watching, she knows that she's the highlight of my life. So one day doesn't matter. I'm one of them people, like every time I say something, I have to remember, wait, did you accommodate for your wife in that one comment you just made? And I have to sometimes reevaluate my comments immediately. So this whole radiator, the whole purpose of this whole thing is so that hot water, or well, warm water from the processor goes in, goes down to the bottom, makes its way back up and goes back to the processor and cools it down. So the processor, most people don't really know what that is. They just like, it's the brain. So chat, so you don't get in trouble. so the processor lives under this little bit right here. The processor is where it's kind of like the brain for your computer, and really and truly, many people never get to see a processor, but that's what it looks like in real life. I pulled this one out of an old computer of mine. So that's the top of it. The top part is where the heat gets pushed to. So when they tell you your computer is overheating, this is where like 90% of the heat of your computer goes, is the top part. This is what the bottom of the processor looks like. So you pay, most of the money you pay for in your computer goes into these little things you see right here. That's where all the magic happens. That's the computer's brain. All these parts around it, there are little pins that go into the processor socket, and they touch different little pins inside of there, and that's how the computer helps itself make decisions. So that's your processor. Of course, your processor is like your brain. Of course, just like people, some computers have bigger brains than others. Some are smarter than others. I'm not throwing those, pointing no fingers, but some people are pretty smart. Some people are not. So, this thing basically has to cool that processor based on the type of processor you have. They get really, really hot. Like if I don't put this on and I turn the computer on, in about 2 minutes it'll turn off. And it'll do something called, it'll flash boil the water in there. So that means in about less than a minute, that little processor will get all the water in this thing boiling completely hot, and the computer will shut down. So that's why you must have good cooling on your computer at all times. So let me go ahead and, I'm not going to take off this first one. I'm going to take off these two over here that get mounted on these fancy little mounts. I actually don't like these mounts because I wanted to fit 3 fans down here. Well, not wanted to. I fit 3 fans down here. It wasn't designed for that. It was only designed for 2. But being the hard-headed type of guy that I am, I modified the case slightly to accommodate 3 because I was in my design. And of course, just like a typical chap, I didn't do enough research when I bought my case. I looked at it. I said, oh, that's big enough. That can take 3 fans. Like how we do all of the things. You measure things with your hands like a real man. Oh, looks wide enough. Let's go down to Home Depot. Can I get one this big, please? So that's kind of what happened. So it didn't exactly work out. So I had to modify the case to accommodate for my additional fan, which is kind of fixed in place. I don't like taking it off because it's way too much trouble to put it back. I'll just clean it in place. Back here, what is this thing, you say? Well, that's your power supply. That's where the juice comes from. So the computer gets plugged in through here. The power supply, all these cables should power throughout everything else. So this blue cable up here comes from down there. This one, all those cables you see hidden up here come from the power supply. That's how it works. So now that we have most of it taken apart, we're gonna go ahead and take the graphic card out, which is this little baby here. In modern computers, these are like the second most expensive component in the computer, simply because of what they do. They are responsible for all the graphics in your computer. So all the fancy video games people play, without these graphics cards, these fancy video games will not work. I have a love affair with graphic cards. I think they're the most beautiful piece of technology ever designed. So might have to remove one more screw here just to be certain, because I'm trying to be picky. The good news is, Pinky, not knowing what I'm doing is the fun part. For you guys at least. It'll be expensive for me if I don't know what I'm doing. So, but yeah, this is what I do. This is what I do. So, to me, the most beautiful thing in the world is a graphic card. If you, since I cannot really explain how it works, it's like a computer all by itself. It has its own memory. It has its own processor, and it creates the graphics on your computer. So that's where your graphics come from. All the fancy explosions and stuff in video games, that's where they come from. So the whole big flat piece in there, that is your motherboard. So if you want to think of how your computer works, it kind of works like a person. So processor is the brain. These little components right here are the memory. So these two are the memory. They go on the motherboard. The memory, or what they call RAM, if you hear someone tell you need more memory or need more RAM in your computer, this is what this is. RAM, RAM literally stands for random access memory. So the processor is your brain. The RAM acts like hands, because your hands will randomly access whatever it is you need that your brain tells you need to grab. So this is what this is. So if your computer is running slowly, you get more RAM, your computer will work faster. For example, if you had 2 extra hands, you could do essentially twice as much work or be twice as lazy. Depends on how you look at it, but that's what your RAM is for. So your RAM, that's what really determines how many things your computer can do at the same time. So you could be as smart as you want. If you don't have hands to get them done, never get done. The motherboard is the main component that takes information from your processor to all the other parts. So the motherboard tells the graphic card what to do, it tells the RAM what to grab, it controls everything essentially. So one thing you might realize, a lot of people talk about a hard drive. My hard drive it's gonna look like I have no hard drive in my computer. That's because I'm using a special type of hard drive. It's a really tiny component. It's this bit right here. It's called an NVMe drive, and that is where you store your information. So for most of us, if the ladies are watching this is your purse. For the guys, this is your tool chest. For guys like me who don't have tools, because I work on computers, I don't have no chainsaw, none that. These things are dangerous. You lose a finger. Anyway, but basically that's where you store your information. So the hard drive is where you store your information. Your brain is what makes the decisions. Your RAM is like your hands. Your motherboard is very important because your motherboard is like your body. So I could be as smart as Stephen Hawking. He had 2 hands, but his body really wasn't that awesome. Maybe a bad analogy, but I know you get it. At the same time, I could have had a muscular body and look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then my brain wasn't as effective as Stephen Hawking's, and I would just be a big brute. So that's how this stuff works. It all has to work in balance for it to be higher. So I'm about to go start cleaning up. So I'm gonna say ta-ta for now, and when I'm putting it back together, I guess I'll jump back on while I put it back together, and you all could see how I work, like a precision doctor. All right, people, love you all. Bye. How do you stop a live video? Since this is my first one, somebody, are you stopping a live video?